Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a bit of a sit down and chat sort of video. I've got a cup of tea and I just want to sit and chat about stuff. As you will have seen by the title, today I'm doing a pros and cons of having coloured hair. This isn't necessarily just for people that have bright coloured hair. You could have black hair, you could have a balayage, I don't know, you could have just if you're naturally a redhead and you just enhance your colour, it could be for you as well. But these are just experiences that I have personally had whilst having coloured hair. I've been dyeing my hair, consistently dyeing my hair anyway, since I was I'd say about 18, 19. And I'm 22 now, almost 23, so maybe about 4 years, or I'll say about 4 years I've been dyeing my hair. Bright colours at least. I did used to dye my hair when I was 15 I dyed it black and that didn't last very long. I had highlights when I was between 12 and 15. So I've done things to my hair just under half of my life. But yeah, so it's bright colours that I'm mainly focusing on, but they can apply to other colours as well. I've actually got some notes as to what I want to say with this one because it will just slip my mind. But yeah, so I've been dyeing my hair for a while. The first bright colour I went was hot pink and I loved it, but unfortunately I didn't have that very long and I will talk about that a bit later on. So I've got my tea. If you notice, the background has changed. We've actually recently got a sofa bed and I'm so glad we finally got one. But it does mean I'm not entirely sure about the setup and stuff yet. I kind of want to put something to the other side of me because I've got little autumn there. I want to put something there because I don't have the plant anymore and I just feel like it looks a bit odd, so I'm trying to sit more off to the side. But yeah, I'm still figuring out setup for this, and I will be moving my lights around and stuff as well. So if things are changing in the next couple of videos, don't worry, it's just, I mean, you're not going to worry anyway, but that's why. So anyway, I've got my tea, let's have a chat about coloured hair. The first pro that I would like to kind of just put out there, because it's a very simple one, is that it looks cool. It looks good. I mean, I have interesting hair, it's fun, I like it. And it's something jazzy, and I don't know, I think it just makes you look more interesting to look at. The con to go against that though is that although it does look cool, it doesn't go with every single outfit or makeup look or anything like that. I mean, some people don't care if things clash. I personally don't care if my hair clashes with my outfit, but even then I do notice that whenever I have pink hair, for example, I don't particularly tend to wear a lot of red. I don't really wear a lot of blue. I tend to just stick to more neutral colours. When I have red hair, I tend to wear, again, just more black anyway, but I feel more comfortable wearing other colours like greens or blues. I don't really mind wearing it. So I do notice that even with myself, when I don't mind clashing with things, I do subconsciously think that's not going to go with my hair. Especially when I first dyed it, I didn't really want to wear anything apart from black or white or grey. And even actually I didn't want to wear pink, which is, I guess yeah, okay, it's a bit too much pink, but how can pink clash with pink? It doesn't, but it's too much. So but yeah, so although your hair looks cool, a con is definitely that it doesn't always go with what you want to wear, both outfit and makeup wise. Another pro that I found is that a lot of people actually compliment you. Personally for me, I don't tend to get a lot of compliments from older people, typically from people kind of 25 and downwards, and don't tend to get a lot of compliments from people above that age range. I do get comments from older people. One time in particular recently, I was walking home from the shop, my bag burst, so I had to wait for my husband to come and bring me another bag. And as I was sat there, a woman walked past me. This is when I still had blue hair. A woman walked past me and said, "You're so cold, your hair's gone blue." Which, I mean, isn't really a compliment, it isn't really a conversation starter, it's just a comment. I don't think she meant any malice behind it, but it's kind of you think, okay, you probably didn't need to say that, but sure. So yeah, you do get comments and compliments. I suppose the comments could be a con, but I don't particularly care about them too much because I don't really get them, and you know what, if it's not their cup of tea then fine, whatever. But the compliments are quite nice. I tend to get a lot of them from children, kind of 10 and under. I think one time I had a 4-year-old girl, well, she looked about 4, I don't know how old she was, but she looked about 4, just walking along on the other side of the road with her mum and dad, and she shouted, "Mum, look, she's got really cool hair." And I was like, my heart, honestly. And then other people were just again, I hear them kind of talking to their parents or to their friends or whatever, and they'll say "Oh, she's got blue and whatever hair and it looks really cool." And one time outright, someone just walked past me in the street, and I think she must have been about 13, 14. She walked past and said, "I really like your hair, it looks so pretty." And I was like, thank you. It does make your day when you get a compliment like that, because I don't do my hair in a bright colour to get a compliment. I just get them sometimes. It's not often, don't get me wrong, like I'll maybe get them once a month, if that. But yeah, it does kind of make your heart like, aw, like, I don't know. And actually, now thinking about it, one time I sat on the bus and I could feel like someone tugging at my hair, and it was like a little young girl just playing with my hair. And if it was like any other person, like if it was an older person, I'd be like, what are you doing? But because it was a little girl, I was like, I'm not gonna like have a go at you for just playing with my hair. You think it's interesting, so go ahead. But yeah, so the compliments are quite nice, honestly. Like I like them. They make me feel quite happy. They make me smile. And sometimes just a little comment like, oh, she's got like pink hair. I don't know, it just makes me smile again. So for me, the compliments and the comments are a complete pro. I don't really have any negative experiences with people commenting on my hair. So that's a pro for me. A con of having bright hair though is that it stains your skin quite a bit and your clothes, depending on what brand you go for. So it's not here anymore, but the other day when I washed my hair, to keep my colour like vibrant, I mixed in dye with my conditioner. So when I was putting conditioner on my hair, I got like pink in between my fingers and like on my hands, but that typically washes off within a day or so. Like especially with everyone at the moment washing their hands constantly, like it doesn't last very long. But there was a brand of hair dye that I use called Crazy Colour. I will possibly do a video like reviewing other hair dye brands that I've tried. Would you guys want to see that? Like I've used a lot of different hair dye brands and I can compare a lot of them, so if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. But the first hair dye brand that I really used, like a bright brand, was Crazy Colour, and I used the colour Cyclamen, which is like a hot pink again. It's kind of like the same as my roots, maybe a bit like more deep. But that colour stained like no one's business. Like it would constantly stain no matter how much I washed my hands, no matter how much I washed my hair to get the excess colour out, I would still touch my hair. Like weeks after I first dyed it, I'd still touch my hair and my hands would go pink. I'd scratch up my scalp and I'd have like gross, but I'd have like dead skin that's pink underneath my nails. My neck would constantly be stained pink at the back. Whenever I had a shower, my pillow would get stained pink. I'd cuddle up to my husband and he would like have his arm around me, and then in here he'd have like, you could literally see each strand of hair that just stained him. So bright colour hair does stain your skin and your clothes and your husband's, like, and anyone that you want to like come into contact with, it does stain. But that kind of varies depending on what brand you go for and also what colour you go for. For example, a colour, just the hot pink from Manic Panic, I find that doesn't really stain too much for me personally. It kind of like, after you've washed it out maybe once or twice, that's when it stops staining altogether for me. But then the colour Rockabilly Blue, which is like a deep navy blue, that does stain consistently for like a good week or so, like maybe even longer actually. That does stain quite a lot, so you can kind of get around that by diluting it with conditioner, but then you don't get as much of a colour on your head. So it can stain. I'd always just like research that. If you wanted to go a different colour and you like really like this particular brand's colour, just check the reviews and see what people have said about staining, watch YouTube videos about it, like just see what other people's experiences are, because if staining doesn't bother you, then fab, like just go for whatever colour and you'll be fine. But if it does bother you, or maybe if you like live at home with your parents or with whoever and you don't want to stain your bathroom that colour, definitely do your research because you will stain a lot of things with that. Another pro, in my opinion, is that it really helps you express yourself. I've had pretty much every colour under the sun and I find I can express myself with the colours. In particular, pink is just my colour. I feel like it makes me feel very like happy, and I don't know, it makes me feel quite nice. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel most like me. When I had bright red hair, although I loved it, I feel like it just, the way that I perceived my red was that although yes, it was a really nice colour and it was like, bam, hi, I'm here, to me it came across a bit like moody and a bit angry. So that isn't my vibe. Like, I do have resting bitch face and I do come across quite snappy and bitchy sometimes, but I don't mean to. So when I had the red hair, mixing that with like my general just like bitchiness that I don't particularly like, it was too much for me. So I didn't stay red for very long, but you can really express yourself with it. Blue, I just felt like really funky and fresh and like kind of grungy, because I feel like with blue you can really get away with some like really grungy looking stuff. So I noticed when I had blue hair, I was a bit more just like, yeah, this is going to be me going into more like my grungy-ish scene. With my pink hair, I kind of feel like I'm me again and I could just do whatever I want. Like, I don't have to follow a certain style, I don't have to follow like certain fashion or makeup looks. I can just do what I want because it's all cool. I don't really care. But yeah, so colours, you definitely can express yourself. A con to go along with that though is that employers and schools don't like it. So although, like, I don't know if you guys had that with your schools and your employers and things, but definitely in my school, they very much wanted us to express our individuality, but then they stopped us from wearing makeup, nail polish, putting badges on our blazers, having dyed hair. They stopped us from doing all of that, but yet they wanted us to be individual. And I didn't really understand that. And when you come out of school, you think, oh, I can do what I want now, but you can't. Like, you want to express yourself, but then you still have to think of your employers, and you still have to think about what they might think or say or do. An example of that is when I worked at McDonald's years ago. I feel comfortable enough speaking about this publicly now because I've been away from McDonald's for about 3 or 4 years now. But when I worked with them, that was the first time I dyed my hair bright pink. Admittedly, I didn't check with management, but I had like colleagues that had dyed red hair that was like that really bright red kind of dye. I had a few colleagues with that colour, and I had one colleague, and I think she's naturally like a redhead, but she would dye her hair like a brighter orange to like really, I don't know, like enhance it, and it looked really nice. But those people had that bright hair, but when it came for me and when I dyed my hair pink, because it's not a natural colour, because red and orange can be natural, I got in a lot of trouble for it. And I thought, well, at the end of the day, it's all underneath the hat, so what does it matter? But I was pretty much told that I'm not allowed it, and if I didn't dye my hair back by my next shift, I would face disciplinary action. Is it disciplinary? I'd get disciplined for it, sort of thing. So I spent a lot of time and money doing my hair and getting it to look really nice, and at a point that I was happy with it, just to be told that I'd essentially get like suspended if I didn't dye it back, which was really heartbreaking for me, because pink hair is something that I had always wanted, and I'd wanted it for years upon years upon years, and when I finally got it, I felt so free and I felt like myself. And then for my work to tell me, you're not allowed that, get rid of it, I was like, but like, where is it in the rules that I can't have this? And they never actually told me that. So I don't think that is a thing. And since that happened, I remember speaking to one of my friends who worked at McDonald's at the same time, like, but in a different store. She said that other people that she worked with have like pink and green hair and they were allowed it. So I was like, well, what the hell? But I didn't want to get into trouble, so I did just dye it back, and I dyed it like a bright red. And I was like, well, I'm allowed to have this because this is the exact same shade as one of my manager's hair colours, so there's no way that I'm not allowed this and she is. And then one of the like big bosses, she made a comment. She knew that I had pink hair at one point. She made a comment a couple weeks later saying, oh, that red's very bright. And I said, oh, actually it's the same colour as this person's hair. And she'd shut up after that, and I never had anyone say anything about that. So if you are going to go with a bright colour and you have got an employment, like if you are employed, or if you're in college or something like that, just check with the employee handbook or just whatever, or check with your manager directly, and if they don't know, they can always ask as well. But don't go through the hassle and pain that I had to go through and then have to dye it back, because let me tell you, when I had to wash out my dye, like I put a bleach bath on it and had to dye over it. When I saw the colour all running out of my hair, I actually cried, because it felt like a part of me was going away. So although a pro of bright coloured hair is you can express yourself, a con is that not a lot of people will let you express yourself. And that's really disappointing. So yeah, if you are going to do it, just double check. That's a really long story, just to say double check with your employers, but just don't make the same mistake that I did, because it was really like a heartbreaking experience, and it sounds really stupid that I cried about it, but I did. And you know, as soon as I left, I dyed my hair, like literally as soon as I left, I dyed my hair half blue, half black. So that was within a week or so of me leaving. So that's how much that place didn't really let me express who I was. I think it's better now. One of my, I don't know if she still works there, but someone I used to work with has since dyed her hair like pink and stuff like that. So I think it is different now, but honestly, it's just not something that I would risk again in the future. Lucky enough now, I am in a place where they really just let you be yourself. Like, they let you dress how you want within reason. Like, just don't be a tart or don't be whatever. Don't be offensive as well. They let you dress how you want. They let you kind of express who you are with your makeup and your hair. So I'm really lucky that I'm with an employer right now who doesn't care, and I can actually finally do what I want with my hair without risking being disciplined or suspended or sacked or whatever. So just make sure you're double checking. Good. So I'm going to start this next bit with a con and then go into the pro. So a con of bright coloured hair is that it is hard to maintain, and this goes with actually any sort of hairstyle. So if you do just dye it black and you naturally have like light hair, or if you do have a balayage or whatever, it is hard to maintain because typically you need to use certain shampoos to not run the colour all out and to keep your hair like healthy. For bright hair in particular, not everyone needs to do this, but I personally do, is I wash it in as cold water as I can stand. So if I'm having a shower, I'll put my hair up and out the way and I won't touch it. So I'll wash my body, turn off the shower, get dried and get dressed. And then after that, I'd have to like lean over the side of the bath and use freezing cold water on my hair to make sure the colour doesn't run out. So it is such a process when I do need to wash my hair because I can't shower normally. I can't just have my hair under hot water. So it is high maintenance. You need to really be careful with what shampoos you're using, what conditioners you're using, and how you're actually washing it. Styling it as well. If you use like products that don't protect your colour, it could really like wash out the pigment in your hair, and it's not that great. And then growing it out as well. So I don't have any roots at the moment because obviously I've recently done my hair, but growing it out after a couple of weeks you do start seeing roots. For coloured hair in particular, I don't think that's that much of an issue, or like balayage hair that kind of like fades naturally from your roots into the style, that can be an issue. But when, for example, if you had like really light blonde hair and you dyed it black, as soon as you get like a little bit of roots, you're going to look like you have such thin hair. So depending on what type of hair you have, the maintenance will be quite high. I think Brad Mondo as well said ages and ages ago in like a platinum video, was it actually Brad Mondo? It might not have been, I don't know. But they said basically if you have like platinum blonde hair, you really need to go back and get it redone like every couple of weeks, because the longer you leave it, the harder it's going to be to keep that like consistent colour. So imagine having to go back to the salon to have your hair bleached every 4 to 5 weeks just to keep it up. That would be such a time consuming process and a lot of money as well. So it is very high maintenance. But that leads me into the pro side of this, is that for coloured hair in particular, I can't really speak on any other kind of hair, like I haven't really had it, but in coloured hair, I think it always looks fab. Like I don't think it, if it's washed out, if it's faded, or if you've got like a lot of roots going on, I don't think that always looks that bad. It kind of depends, but especially when I had my red and my blue hair, when my roots came right out, it looked fine. Like I think it actually looks really nice. With pink, I don't think my roots look as nice if they grow out, but they can do. But yeah, whether it's faded, whether it's freshly done, whether it's got a load of roots, whether it's like just been whatever, I think coloured hair always looks really fab. Balayage hair, I reckon it wouldn't look that bad. You wouldn't have to keep going back all the time. But yeah, that's just kind of like what I think of it. So the con side of it is that it's high maintenance. You do have to do a lot of upkeep for it. And the pro of that is that for coloured hair in particular, if your roots go out, or if your hair fades out, it still looks fab. It's alright. People aren't going to look at your hair and be like, they've got roots, oh my god, they like their hair isn't natural, when you've already got this sort of hair. If you have like a natural looking blonde like dye sort of thing and your roots start growing in black, people are like, she's a fake blonde. But no one's going to look at me and be like, she's a fake pink. Of course I am. Like, I don't have natural hair, so if my roots grow out and expose the fact that this isn't my natural hair colour, if anyone believed this was my natural hair, then they need to really just look at themselves in the mirror and be like, have I even got a brain? Do you know what I mean? So for bright coloured hair, it's gonna look fab regardless, and it's not like it looks natural anyway, so you don't need to keep up the facade that your hair grows in pink. You don't. Simple as. Sorry for the rant there. The next pro is that it is fun to style. For me, especially when I had black hair, I found that styling my hair didn't even look that great, because typically the darker your hair is, the less detail shows up when you style it. So if you do braids, you can't really see much. I think the nicest like kind of hair to style is blonde with highlights, because you can really see all the details and stuff in it, and that looks the nicest. But when you have coloured hair, especially like with mine, I have like blue, purple and pink all throughout the ends. If I put this in like a really nice braid or into curls, it will look so like pretty and like dimensional, and it will look all really nice. But typically if you have like a flat brown hair colour, or like a really deep dark brown / black hair colour, and you style that, it doesn't look that great. So bright coloured hair, in my opinion, is the more fun type of hair to style, because you can really do anything with it. Like, people already think your hair is mental, so why not do more mental things with it? You know, do a braid, do space buns, do whatever. Like, space buns are so fun as well if you have split hair, because I'll pop a picture like here. When I had my split pink and black, space buns looked funky as hell with it. Like, go ahead and do your space buns. Do whatever the hell you want to do. When I do tend to style my hair, I like to crimp it. I think it, like, I don't particularly like curls on me, but crimping just makes it look so fun and puffy and like, woo. So I think styling your hair when it's coloured is so fun, but a con for styling and also just upkeep is that it can be very expensive, because you do need to have products to protect your hair against any further damage, especially if you bleached it a lot like I have. You need to have heat protecting products, you need to have products that work well with colour. I think it has to be sulfate free, I think, because that doesn't affect the coloration of your hair. But also, as well as that, like I said, with the kind of high maintenance part of it, you might need to go back to the salon every couple of weeks to get it done, which does cost a lot of money. I do my hair at home and it only really costs me, I'd say, about £10 a month, if that, and that's only if I bother to dye it, because I just normally tend to get like a tub or two of dye and that's about it. So my hair doesn't really cost me that much money. If I can be bothered doing it, I will. If I can't bother doing it, then I won't. It's simple as that. But I know some people are very particular with how their hair looks. I used to be like that, and now I'm just not. I've kind of given, I don't really care anymore. Like, I've given up on it. So yeah, although it's fun to style, sometimes getting all the products to style it, or even just getting the products to do your hair in general, it can be very expensive, depending on what you do. I actually think doing it yourself and doing like a bright colour tends to be less expensive. But if you're going to commit yourself to doing your hair, depending on what you're doing, you might need to go to a salon and whatever. So it can be expensive. Just make sure you're looking into that, and if you can afford to keep it up. If you can't really afford to keep it up and you don't care about keeping it up, then fine, do what you want. Like, it's whatever. I personally, if this washed out, I wouldn't really care that much. I just wouldn't. So if I can't afford 1 month to get the dye or to touch up my roots, then I just won't do it. The last point I'm going to put across is both a pro and a con, and it was people will stare at you, people will look at you and like glance at you, and this kind of goes in the same way as the comments, like people commenting on your hair. But this one can maybe make you feel a bit more uncomfortable, because a lot more people will stare and like look as opposed to say something. And personally, although I have bright coloured hair and although I do wacky makeup sometimes and whatever, I hate being the centre of attention. I don't like it at all. It's just not something that I'm comfortable with. And I don't like people kind of watching me, and you know, I just get very self-conscious about it. So people staring at you, for me, can sometimes be a bit uncomfortable. But I only really tend to notice when people are staring at me when I'm in a colour that doesn't really make me feel like myself. So when I was a redhead, I noticed that people would stare at me more just because I felt a bit more self-conscious in it. I didn't feel comfortable with that colour. When I first went blue, it's only whenever I changed my hairstyle to a different one again, I kind of feel like a bit more self-conscious that people might be looking. Yeah, so I personally don't mind it, and like I said, some people will comment on it and whatever, whereas some people might get very uncomfortable, and for me, depending on how I'm feeling or depending on what colour I am, I do feel a bit uncomfortable. But if you really don't mind that, if you don't mind attention, or if you don't mind people kind of glancing and it doesn't really affect you, then fine, that's a pro on your side. It just depends on who you are, really, and where you are as well, because if I'm in somewhere like Glasgow Central, a lot of people are quite wacky there, so people will look, but they won't really look twice. They'll be like, oh cool, she's got cool hair. But if I'm like in the town centre that I live in, people don't tend to see a lot of bright coloured hair, so they'll be like, what's that? And it's when you kind of look at them looking at you and you kind of notice that they've pulled a weird face or something, and they're like, what the hell? I have had someone drive past and like point at me, and like I think they laughed, which made me feel a little bit like, what? Like, it's not on your head, so I'm comfortable with it. But yeah, so depending on how you feel about people looking at you and attention and things like that, you probably will or won't care about people staring, but that's just kind of my view on it. So yeah, those are, oh my god, let's start that again. So yeah, those are my pros and cons of having dyed hair, or mainly brightly coloured hair, but some of it does apply obviously to normal dyed hair. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my pros and cons? And do you have any other pros and cons that you can think of about having dyed hair. Like if you have dyed hair and you've had certain experiences, give me like a pro and con that you have that I haven't mentioned, or if you don't agree with some of my pros and cons, let me know why, and let me know what you would think it would be instead, whether like if you think my pro would actually be a con or con would be a pro, whatever. Let me know that in the comments because I'm interested to see what people think about all of this stuff. But yeah, so that is my video for today. Thank you guys very much for joining me with my cup of tea. Shout out to Nikita for her comment on my husband does my voiceover challenge or video, whatever the hell that video was. Don't forget guys, if you'd like to be shouted out in one of my videos, just make sure you're the first person to comment. If you turn your notifications on for my videos, you'll get notified every time I upload a new one. Or if you just remember that I upload every Wednesdays and Sundays at 12 PM. UK time anyway, I don't know where you are. Just make sure you're the first one to comment and I'll shout you out in my next video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.